It's Tom Duty, middle-aged American, living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search from my site. These, I have to explain my fashion. These camos I bought and decided that I might wear them outside. And anyways, I wear them. This is my lounging fashion. An addendum to my delivery tonight. I delivered for 5 hours in the rain. It was cold. It was nonstop rain. It did go to light rain, where not everyone was using umbrellas. Intermittent heavy rain and wind. And I delivered for 5 hours. So I did this video and then talked to my wife. When I talked to my wife, all of a sudden the more human side of this, of what I did as a delivery person starts coming out. In other words, when I did the video, I had this idea, wow, I had this tech problem, I had this tech solution, people are listening to this video because they're doing Uber, and this would be a huge score if I were able to help someone avoid the problem I had tonight, or this was this afternoon. So it caused me to sit offline for 2 hours today when I shouldn't have had to do that. So wouldn't it be cool if, with the help of these videos, I could prevent someone from that disaster? So when I see my wife, all of a sudden the softer side, the human side, the subjective side, the less tech, more human interest comes out. So here's the story that I forgot to tell. First delivery, second, I think. I'm on 42nd Street. Oh, it is a second delivery because I already have a bike. So I get pinged to go to 40th, between 39th and 40th on 9th Avenue. Now this is the east side of 9th Avenue, and it's a ramen place. It might have been 38th, 39th, but anyways, in that 2-block section, very near Port Authority, very near the Lincoln Tunnel, on 9th Avenue on the west side of Manhattan, Midtown. So I get, uneventful pickup. It's probably ready, and off I go to deliver ramen to Diego. So I go to 40th between 7th and 8th. Now, if any listeners know Midtown Manhattan, you sort of know that there really isn't anything. Like New York Times building is on the north side of 40th on that block. So the hotels and the more likely places to deliver would be on the south side of 40th. So I go into this building that's not new, and listeners, I can't tell you how I know this, but I know when I'm going into commercial, I know when I'm going into residential. And there's a whole, it has to do with the security and whether you take the food up or whether they come down. So in this case, I'm not sure. So I go in, there's no security, and I'm on the elevator. I'm going up to Diego on 4th floor. We did ping a couple of exchanges with text. So I'm riding, a woman boards the elevator with me, and I said, is this commercial or residential? And she says, well, where I'm going, it's commercial. I said, I was just confused. It's Sunday, and this appears to be commercial, but I'm not sure. Well, she explains that she's an artist, so for her to be spending her Sunday in an art studio, it makes sense. So this was one of those old buildings that have a relatively narrow footprint. So when the elevator door opens on the floor, you're immediately in the space. The tenants usually have the entire floor. There's not common space and then you go down a hallway and into multiple offices. This building opens up into the whole floor. And when she got off, I think I was going to 8. She got off earlier, maybe 4. And it opens directly into an art studio. So what she said and what I saw as the doors open and close briefly, perfectly reconciled. So now I get up to 8 to deliver ramen to Diego, and I'm immediately in the private space. So the tenant space, no common space on the floor. So I step off the elevator and I squat down to zip open my bag, and Diego steps forward to greet me. There's other people in the room. It's a big, wide open space, and it's a photo shoot. So Diego, and I'm going to make the excuse that if I say something that makes me sound like I'm gay or gay curious, if it suggests that I'm gay or gay curious, I would deny this. Although I will admit it sounds like I am. So this guy, Diego, looks like he walked off a Calvin Klein billboard. Now, Calvin Klein has had these hunky, studly, young, handsome men on their billboards for years. So I wish I could update and say something other than the Calvin Klein guy. I wish I could flip through Vogue right now and use a fresher version of what is the stereotypical, hot guy. So what's Diego wearing? A bathrobe. And I was afraid to look at the rest of the people in the room. I didn't want to see anyone naked. But I don't think, because literally, listeners, I'm squatting down on the floor. I don't even get eye contact with these people. I zip open, I make sure it's who it is. I don't want to open the bag twice. So I open up, I'm squatted down, and I kind of caught that someone else was in a bathrobe, and there were at least, maybe 5 or even 10 people in the room. So what were they doing? I don't know, but it clearly had a photo shoot with a lot of skin. So why did I make this addendum? I see my wife, I base on my wife, and we start moving toward the bus, and I start telling this story. And, we're a married couple, probably typical in many ways, very different in other ways. But this feature of you kind of don't listen to one another, at least Hannah doesn't listen to me. But then when we get on the bus, it's a little quieter. She kind of, when I describe this handsome man in a bathrobe, suddenly she's sort of interested, and I end up retelling this story. One of the phrases I use with Hannah is, one of the phrases I use with Hannah is before I retell the story, I say, well, just tell me how many times you want me to tell me. One more time. That's all I need to hear. Just tell me one more time. I want an acknowledgement that I've already told her once and she wasn't listening, and therefore I'm going to tell her again. And then I torture her a little bit by saying, well, where did I get the ramen? Well, Hannah actually got that one correct. Where did I deliver the ramen? And where's the guy in the bathrobe, and how this thing, all these pieces of the story that I blurred out when I first see Hannah had to be retold. So anyways, that was my clue that the story had some elements of human interest. So listeners, if anyone's delivering, if you're a gay man or a heterosexual woman, every now and then you get Studley Diego coming to the door, coming to accept the food wearing a bathrobe. And the bathrobe was almost open in front. I could see that, it wasn't tied tight. I could see that he's wearing, some type. They weren't brief underwear, but they were boxer underwear or shorts. Very funny. So that's it. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search from my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, or restful night's sleep. Ciao.